As we saw with the last Cloudera Manager demo, it's easy for you to get a good view to see the health of your cluster based on a number of different statistics and metrics. Not only does Cloudera Manager come with curated alerts, it also gives you the ability to create your own custom alerts or triggers based on your cluster needs or what's most interesting to you. Things like being able to see disk latency, disk I/O, or being able to see the disk usage over time may be important for your cluster. For today's demo, we're going to walk through setting up a custom trigger for whether there are jobs pending on your cluster. For this demo, we're going to start on the Cloudera Manager home screen. So again, this is a screen where you can quickly see that all of the services that are running as well as the hosts, and currently they are all running in good health. For creating this custom trigger, we're going to go to Yarn. Yarn is the resource manager for Hadoop and for Cloudera Enterprise, and so it'll be handling any of the pending jobs that are in queue. So by clicking on Yarn, we're taken to the Yarn status page, and you can get a quick view of the charts for Yarn. You can see that it is running currently in good health. That's that green dot again. And you can also see a health history of Yarn. This also gives us the ability to directly create a trigger for it. So we're going to click on the Create Trigger button. This takes us to the Create New Trigger page, where we can name our new trigger Pending Containers Check. Here, the containers represent the jobs that will be queued. And we're going to click on Edit Manually for expression. From here, we're going to enter an expression that basically says if there are more than 10 pending containers, it will set the Yarn health to bad. So we'll change it to that red dot. From here, we can click Create Trigger. Now we want to make sure that this trigger was actually initialized. So from here, we're going to go back to the Yarn status page, and we can look at the health history and see that the pending containers check has been initialized. One of the good things about Cloudera Manager is not only can you create this trigger, but you can also set it to send email notifications if there is a state change for this trigger. To create the email notification, we're actually going to scroll all the way down to the Cloudera Management Service. Cloudera Manager not only manages the services and hosts for your cluster, it also manages Cloudera Manager itself. So we're taken to the Cloudera Management Service status page, similar to the other status page we saw before. And from here, we can go to Configuration. On the configuration page, you see a list of all the different configurations you can adjust, as well as the filtering on the left-hand side. To create the email alert, we're going to filter by alert publisher. And this takes us to the Enable Email Alerts page. We've pre-populated this with many of these details, but this gives you the ability to change the alert based on your mail server. Here we have it set to the SMTP server. You can change the recipient of the email, the frequency of alerts. Now we want to make sure that this trigger actually works. So we're going to run a mapreduce job that has more than 10 containers in it. If you recall the expression we sent, if there are more than 10 containers, then it should trigger this alert. So we have the mapreduce job running in the background now. Let's go see how this affected our Yarn service. We're going to go to the Yarn applications, and we can see that mapreduce is indeed running there, so it's at about 5% complete. We can also go to the dynamic resource pool to confirm that we have more than 10 pending containers. On the dynamic resource pools page, we can see that there are 27 pending containers, so greater than 10. Let's see how that affected the health of our Yarn service. When we go to the Yarn status page, we see that Yarn is now in bad health, so it is red. On the health test section, we can see why it is in bad health based on this pending containers check that we set earlier. We can also see in the health history that there's now a state change of this pending containers check. It has gone from good to bad. Now, for this last step, let's see that the email was actually sent based on our configurations. So we're going to go to Diagnostics, to Logs, and search for email. And by searching, we can see that the email was sent out because of the health of the Yarn service. Based on this, once all of these pending jobs have completed, our Yarn service should be back in good health. So we can see in the dynamic resource pool, there's no longer any pending containers. So let's go back to our Yarn service and see what happened. And as expected, it is back in good health. The pending containers check trigger we created is no longer firing, and we have another state change in health history. So the health is now good again. Just to review what we covered today, Cloudera Manager not only has pre-configured alerts built into it, but there's also the ability for you to create your own alerts or triggers based on what's most interesting to you. For this example, we create an alert to notify us when there are more than 10 pending containers or jobs queued for our cluster. We were able to set that alert, configure it to send an email, and then confirm by running a mapreduce job that indeed the alert worked, the email was sent, and once the mapreduce job completed, everything is back in good health.